So good morning all of you. So today's class was a bit disturbed because of the power issue, and still the power issue is there, so that is why I am sweating. But anyway, I'm sorry for that, there was disturbance in the WebEx class due to the power failure. Okay. So anyway, let us not to lose our heart. So today I am just going to record this video lecture, and it is just going to be absolutely fun, and I'll be just introducing with you few what I'll say thought experiment. So such that with thought experiment we will be understanding a few concept of mechanics, right? So they are absolutely cool and nothing to complicated things, rather very simple things. You know it already, just to ignite your thought. Okay. So with that, I'm just going to start. Let's. I have confined you in a chamber. Let's say it is completely dark. There is no light. Nothing is there, right? And that chamber, I have confined you, and that chamber is accelerating at acceleration a. In the similar way, there is another chamber, but it is completely what I will say that in terms of automobile, it is having the sunroof kind of thing, and it is made of glass and all this, such that you can see everything. Over here you cannot see anything. Over here you can see everything. And now this both of these things are accelerated. Okay, so what will be your feeling sitting in both these chambers? Are they going to be different, or they are going to be the same? Yeah, are you getting the question? The question is absolutely simple. Question is that, let's say there is an automobile, but that automobile is not having any glass. It is completely confined, and that automobile, that car, is accelerating at acceleration a, and you are sitting over here. Another automobile which is having completely glasses and sunroof like kind of thing, sunroof, glass, everything. There is nothing, no steel component, only the glass component, and the base is having the engine and all these things. And this is also accelerating at a. So are your experience is going to be different or same? The answer to this question is going to lead to a very simple concept of Newtonian mechanics. So over in these two examples, you are going to get the feeling of the same thing. That means you are being moved backward. In this case also you have been moved backward. But the difference is that you cannot see anything such that all of a sudden you are getting that I am being moved backward, or I am getting a force of backward. But I cannot realize anything. Whether I am moving or not, I am not getting any feeling. But over here you are getting the feeling that the roadside trees, shops, everything is moving far behind, and I am moving forward, but I am being moved backward. Like, it is your experience, but it does not matter. It does not matter. So with that, we'll try to distinguish between two concepts. One is reference frame, another is the coordinate system. So actually they are being confused by many students, so that is why we are just trying to differentiate them. So reference frame and coordinate system, how they are different? Reference frame is the observer. Who is observing? Now those who are observing it, he or she is describing the motion. So for that he or she might use Cartesian coordinate system, cylindrical coordinate system, spherical coordinate system. I'll say that it is just an you are as a student or as a teacher, we are just the observer. We are observing the motion. So for my convenience, I am going to use a Cartesian, spherical, cylindrical, and whatever as per my choice and as per my convenience. So these two are two different things. Never ever mix them. Okay? So reference frame means the observer who is sitting, who is describing the motion. Now with this, I am just going to come to F is equal to ma. Now I am going to put the vector sign. For the time being, let's consider your mass is a scalar quantity. Okay? Now let us write, is force is reference frame dependent or reference frame independent? The question is whether force is reference frame dependent or reference frame independent. The simple answer is it is reference frame independent. So it is reference frame I'll see that independent or invariant. Let us just I have made my language complicated, or you can write it as reference frame invariant or independent. Now mass, scalar quantity, wherever it is, the 5 kg mass is not going to change whether you are going to put it in the accelerating frame or whether let's say your weight or your mass of 60 kg is not going to change whether you are riding in a Audi car or in a Maruti 800 or in a bike or wherever. It is not going to change, right? So whatever may be the motion, this, that, whatever it is going to be, it is a scalar quantity. So the same thing is with mass as well. But what about this A? It is not. So it is reference frame dependent. Now you please tell me, can I write this equation where these three quantities, out of the three parameters or quantities, two are reference frame independent, one is reference frame dependent. So can I equate it? I cannot. Unless otherwise, if I am going to put a condition to it, and that condition is described in this experiment. So over here, the person or you who is sitting in the car is saying that I don't have anything, any motion, I am fixed. Here also, I don't have any motion. Over here you are thinking that nothing is moving, but over here you are seeing that the roadside trees are moving, the shops are moving, right? But you are fixed. That is what your observation is. So keep one thing in mind, that over here we have to keep a condition, is that the acceleration is going to be decided by an observer which is stationary. And who is stationary into this whole universe is the distance star. Okay. So over here I will be writing that what distance star is going to measure that has to be equated. So this is what is the condition for Newton's second. Now with this condition, And with this, keeping this thought experiment in mind and reference frame and coordinate system, we will be just moving into our cases where we might use non-inertial frame. We call it as inertial frame, which is fixed. Inertial frame. Okay, with this we are going to move towards the so let's say you have an inertial frame of reference, and that frame of reference is represented, that frame of reference is using a Cartesian coordinate system. Let's say they are capital X, capital Y and capital Z. It doesn't matter. I can use cylindrical, whatever, but for the time being I am using Cartesian. So this with O as the origin, this is what is my inertial frame or fixed frame of reference. Fixed frame of reference. So now onwards, in this course, we will reserve capital X, Y, Z as fixed frame of reference. Okay? So I am repeating once again. In this course, just a minute. Hello. Hello. May I know who is on the line? No, I have not called.
Okay, call him from other side. I should call.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry, I'm in class. Okay, so I'm sorry. We'll be using capital XYZ as the inertial fixed frame of reference so far in this course. Okay. Now, let's say there is another frame of reference. Say small x, y, z. Wait, and this is the coordinate, though it is coordinate, but this frame of reference is represented as a coordinate. I mean, this frame is using a coordinate small x, y, z with the origin as A. Why we are keeping A, the name A? Because it is accelerating. That is why we are keeping it as A. Okay. Now let's say this coordinate frame is rotating at omega speed vector and alpha thus. Now who is measuring omega and alpha? This fixed frame of reference. I am repeating once again. This omega and alpha is measured by fixed frame of reference. Okay, sure. Please don't be confused that I am using coordinate system. It does not mean that this coordinate system is, it is measuring. But over here, this is the fixed frame of reference denoted. It is denoting using a Cartesian frame, a Cartesian coordinate of capital X, Y, Z. And this is the accelerating frame of reference who is using small x, y, z with A as origin. E stands for accelerator. Right? And this moving frame of reference is having the angular velocity of omega and angular acceleration of alpha. Now who is measured? Who has measured this omega and alpha? The fixed frame of reference. Sure? Now let us come to a mass point. Let's say I am having a mass at point P of n. Okay, sure. Now, so what is the position vector of this point? This is what is your r. Now your acceleration a is equal to, which is defined by the fixed frame of reference, is equal to rp का double dot, acceleration is equal to rp का double dot, and that whatever the forces which is acting on this mass is going to be F is equal to m rp double dot. That is what is my Newton's second law of motion. Okay. Now let's say like that chamber, this problem, or will be coming more such example into this case. So let's say it is having, you can represent that as R A plus R P by A. R P by A means R of P with respect to A. So this R P, you are going to write R P is equal to R A plus R P by A. Say yes or no? That is what is the vectorial thing. This is the absolute position. This is what is the position of the moving frame, and this is what is the position with respect to the moving frame. So your RP is equal to RA plus RP by A. Sure? But not careful. What is there? Now this RA is defined with respect to the fixed frame of reference. Mind it, I am repeating once again, that this RA is being defined with the fixed frame of reference. But this RP by A is defined with respect to the moving frame of reference. So this frame of reference is moving. Okay? Sure? Now let's go for the velocity, and please keep in mind one thing, that if any question is going to ask, or if any statement is going to say that the particle or the point is having the velocity of, let's say, 3 meter per second square, 3 meter per second, or let's say that same particle at that same instant of time is having the acceleration of 5 meter per second square. So this 3 meter per second and this 5 meter per second square is defined with respect to the fixed or inertial frame of reference. Okay, sure. So with this, when I am going to describe what is the velocity of point P, then you are going to write RP ka dot. You are not going to write RP by A ka dot. Okay, sure. So what it is going to be? You are going to write RP this. So you are going to write RA ka dot, because RA is defined with respect to fixed frame of reference. I don't need, because whatever the distance is, its change is going to be my velocity of A plus what you are going to write? You are going to write RP by A ka local change dot plus its directional change. Agree or not? Yeah, please look it carefully, whether I have made any mistake or you are agreeing with it. So absolute velocity, or rather the velocity of point P at any instant of time, is its absolute position change. Now with respect to the keeping in view the moving frame of reference, I am going to write the moving frame at what rate it is changing, that, right? If it is going to be rotational, that then it is going to be let's say it is capital omega times some constant will be coming. So as such it is the absolute velocity which is defined with respect to capital XYZ. Okay, plus rp by a ka dot, that means this is what is the local change, or rather this frame of reference, small xyz frame of reference, or rather the moving frame of reference is describing what is the velocity, whatever the velocity he or she is measuring, plus at what rate that rp by a is changing the direction. Sure? So I have used over here the concept of absolute differentiation of a vector, but I have not used over here RA because it is defined. Look over here. Look over here. RA is defined with respect to the fixed frame of reference, so I don't bother. Based on the problem, whatever be its velocity is to be defined, that will be defined. Okay, because it is being defined with respect to fixed frame of reference. Now I am coming to the acceleration of point P or particle P of mass M. So it is going to be Rp car double dot is equal to Ra car double dot plus what you are going to write? R P by A car double dot local change plus directional change. Okay, so this part is for this plus what local change you are going to get? Omega. So it is going to be alpha cross Rp by A, right? This for this local plus omega cross Rp by A ka dot. This is what is the local change. Now we are coming to the directional change. That directional change is omega cross Rp by A and this. Are you understanding? So this bracketed term is the total derivative of this. This bracketed term is the total derivative of this. Please look minutely. Okay, are you observing? So once again I am repeating that acceleration of particle P or point P is its absolute position car double dot. Now in terms of moving frame of reference, when I have used it, then I am keeping Ra car double dot plus the total derivative of this part. The total derivative of this part is the local change plus the directional change. And for this part, there are two local changes. One is omega, that local change is alpha. Now, for Rp by A, local change is Rp by A ka dot, omega cross this. Now, the directional change of this part. So these two terms are the local changes, and over here this is what is the directional change. Now let us rearrange. If I am going to rearrange it, then what I am going to get is acceleration of point P is equal to Rp car double dot is equal to Ra car double dot. Let us not use the vector sign. Okay, so it is implied. Right? I am not using the vector sign, please. Okay, because Just over here I will be using the vector sign. That's all. After that I am not going to use any vector sign because it is implied that it is vector. Okay, please keep in mind. I am intentionally avoiding the vector sign, but please keep in mind because now I will be needing this analysis part, right? So they are vector. So it is going to be RA double dot plus RP by A car double dot plus what you are going to get? This and this. Yes. So it is going to be twice omega cross RP by A car dot plus alpha cross RP by A plus omega cross RP by A. Okay, sure? Is there any other term left? No. Now let us write. Let's say that your this mass point M is subjected to a force F. Keep one thing in mind that let's say it is F. Some F is there acted. So you are going to write F is equal to M times RA double dot plus RP by A double dot plus twice omega cross RP by A car dot plus alpha cross RP by A plus omega cross RP by A. Now are you understanding that this is what is the thing if I use any moving frame of reference? This is what is, because this acceleration is defined by the fixed frame of reference or inertial frame of reference or distance term. Now for example, I am interested that because just recall the our previous thought experiment that you are in a car and that car is going to accelerate. You are going to feel that I am not moving at all, right? So if this is what is you are in a moving frame of reference, then how will you define the Newton's second law? That we are going to get. So you are only going to measure what? This part only. You are going to measure only this part. Sitting in the car, if something is going to accelerate, that is what I am going to measure. Because my car is that. So if that be the case, then I am going to write M RP by A car double dot is equal to F minus M times RA double dot plus twice omega RP by A car dot plus alpha cross RP by A plus omega cross RP by A. Now tell me that this is what is the case, that you are, while you are sitting in the car and you are describing the whole motion, then this is what is your Newton's second law of motion. Okay, so what is this? MA, for you the acceleration is this, because you are in the moving frame of reference. Okay, the moving frame of reference is describing the acceleration as this, and this side is force, right? This side is force, this side is mass time acceleration, is equal to force. Mass time acceleration is equal to force. But is all these terms are the force? By definition of force? The definition of force is saying that it is frame independent, observer independent. But is this part observer independent? No. It is not at all observer independent. Rather, they are observer dependent. So we call them as pseudo force. Pseudo force. What is the literal meaning of pseudo? Which does not exist. Okay? So this force does not exist, but it is there. It is not a force, but it is there. In mass time acceleration is equal to force terms. Now how they are felt? Yes. Now let us come to this, the experiment which we described at the beginning. So what the force you are getting? Because you are sitting in the car, it means what? If the car is going to accelerate, this is what is giving you the force backward. Look, its sign is minus. So while you are sitting in a car and the car is moving forward, is going for forward acceleration, you are getting the backward force due to this, and that is the pseudo force. Okay, so that is the pseudo force. And now what this is? This is called the Coriolis force. M times this is called the Coriolis force. Where you have seen? Where you have seen the Coriolis force will become. Next, what is this? This is the tangential force. And what is this? This is what is your centrifugal force. Okay? Now let us come. Now with an example we will be looking all these forces and we will be realizing it. Okay? So my this part is going to be कितना टाइम हुआ है? देखिए कितना रिकॉर्डिंग हुआ है? 11:05 से आपने शुरू किया।
यस
अब ठीक
32 मिनट हुए सर।
32 मिनट और 5-10 मिनट के बाद और एक रिकॉर्ड। ठीक है। So now let's do one thing. Let's say I have made this capital XYZ literally in the distance star. Okay, now please make it, please note it, that this capital XYZ frame is now in the distance star. That means a distance star, I think you understand. It has a very mythological meaning and this that. So let's say it is in the distance star. And let's say this is the moving frame of reference, Earth. This Earth is rotating. Let us consider that my capital small XYZ frame observer is in the Earth, like we. So for me, this is what is, and this distance star is that. Now as a result, common observer, or everybody in the residing on the Earth is going to feel all those forces. Let us come one by one. Okay? First example, we are going to start from here. We are going to start from here. That is the centrifugal force. Okay. So centrifugal force is proportional to the R. Is it not? Omega square R proportional to the R. Now your Earth is rotating, let's say, from west to east. It is rotating, right? North pole and south pole is there. So across the north pole and south pole, the centrifugal force is 0. On the north pole and south pole, the centrifugal force is 0. But it is maximum at the equator. If you are going to consider the whole earth as a sphere, if you are going to consider whole earth as a sphere, then the centrifugal force is maximum at the equator and it is 0 at the poles, North Pole and South Pole. So as a result, what you are going to get the effect? If you are going to measure G, the gravitational constant, you will find that at the North Pole and South Pole it is maximum and the equator it is the minimum. Are you understanding? So what does it mean? What does it mean? If you are moving towards the equator, if you are going to launch a rocket, say artificial satellite and all these things, then your fuel cost is going to go down substantially as much as you are close to the equator. Okay, so for India, I think it could be one of the reasons that the satellite launching pad is not in Delhi, but it is near to Sriharikota, and rather there are certain other things that we need less amount of fuel. Could be one of the reasons. Next, we are coming to this part, the Coriolis part. Coriolis part is what it is talking about. Let's say any air particle is going to move. Then, due to the earth motion, it is going to deflect either towards left or towards right. Okay? So, this is one of the example. And this example we always get in sitting in the car or in the bus. But for this part, I think earth cannot be an example because earth doesn't have this alpha, because it is a constant. We assume that it is constant. So it is not possible. Now let us come. We have given the example of the earth, but you are going to get each and every all these forces in the amusement park. Just think about, you are riding a merry-go-round, gyro pendulum and roller coaster, whatever the motion is. We pay the price to get the fun because to get the pseudo forces. As much pseudo force, different kind, and the varieties we are going to get, we are going to get the more fun into it. Okay? So please keep in mind the entire amusement industry related to the motions are based on the pseudo forces. How much you are going to generate the pseudo force and at what time interval, such that a person sitting in the this park, they are going to get the feel of it. Okay, so now let us recapitulate before we close this. So in this class, what we essentially got is that through our thought experiment, we found that Newton's second law is valid for if the acceleration is measured with respect to the fixed frame of reference. Okay, sure. So with this, we define the fixed frame of references as capital XYZ, and that we are going to follow throughout our class, throughout our this semester. And we will be examining small XYZ frame as the moving frame of reference, and that moving frame of reference is having the angular velocity omega measured by the fixed frame of reference, and is having the angular acceleration alpha measured by the fixed frame of reference. And as a result, we got, if that moving frame of reference is going to apply Newton's second law, then that Newton's second law is going to look like this: F minus, because F is frame invariant or frame independent, right, minus a series of pseudo forces. So those pseudo forces are there because what? Because it is a moving frame of reference. Now at what condition? At what condition this moving frame of reference is going to measure the same acceleration, or is going to apply the same law as that of the fixed frame of reference when all these forces are going to be 0, right? What is the condition? What is the condition? That condition is when omega is equal to alpha is equal to 0 and Ra double dot is equal to 0. You just make it omega is equal to 0 and alpha is equal to 0, you will find that all these pseudo forces collapses and Ra double dot is equal to 0, or in other words it is non-accelerating and non-rotating frame is an inertial frame. So with that we are defining that a non-accelerating and non-rotating frame of reference is an inertial frame of reference. Just I have not used these words. Please keep in mind that non-accelerating and non-rotating frame of reference is an inertial frame of reference. So both the frame of reference is going to measure the same acceleration if this Ra double dot is going to be 0 and omega is equal to alpha is going to be 0. Right. So with that we are concluding today, and we will be coming in the next class with a few exciting example, and we will be simulating. And today I will be circulating you the tutorial sheet number 3 along with the solution. Okay, thank you for your patience.